Let's go. And I'm hoping this is actually going to have a really good quality with the levels of the mixer as well. Um, this is it. It doesn't even feel like it's been 3 weeks. Obviously, right now there is no guest on the podcast. I have been updating a lot of things behind the scenes with everything that I kind of wanted to implement to make the stream more efficient for the viewer or the listener. Because I'm sure if you've been catching in every so often, like basically once the live stream is done, I will definitely go to download it and edit it a little bit just to put everything into perspective. Then upload it to all the podcast streaming platforms wherever you get your podcast, and um, as well as YouTube. Which I mean, it's to put them on all platforms for anybody to take advantage of is the reason why I do it. Um, but there's been a lot been going on behind the scenes. I This is obviously a different picture than what you would usually see. Usually, you would see a guest next to me. If you're just hearing this, I'm just kind of giving everybody like an update with what I'm trying to bring out with future guests and like plans that I have for the podcast in itself. But I hope everybody's doing well. We're still in the middle of this pandemic. There's no post yet. Like this is crazy. Like everybody is in a lot of places in the country. You're allowed to go out, and you're in the green area. So I don't know. This is hopefully this starts coming to an end quite soon, and I don't know what it's going to do for the music industry yet, but we'll definitely see. But so yeah, I mean, if you can't tell already, like I have an actual microphone in front of my face with a little bit of a different camera, which the quality of it, I know I bought it off of Amazon. I'm not liking it, so I'm definitely gonna get a different camera. Um, and in general retrospect, so basically I was running the whole podcast off of a computer, a MacBook Air, and sometimes I would hear or read things in the comments when we would stream live is it's kind of clipping or it cuts out, blah blah blah, and it's not an efficient way to do the podcast, and I knew that, so I would definitely take the time to make sure that I can edit everything and make it as um, pleasurous as possible to like view or listen to the podcast. Whenever anybody gets the chance to do so. Um, and I bought a whole new PC. I went to this apartment store and just bought it in full. Everything looks great. It's running great. Like I had a bunch of guys like help me throughout the process. Brandon from Audio Addiction, shout out to him. I mean, he kind of helped me get the right specs for everything and kind of made sure that I was buying the right computer itself, because I did buy a computer off of the internet, a custom build from the scratch, and that came back completely busted. Like, as soon as I got it, I opened it and hooked it up to my monitor, and it was completely shot. Like even the Microsoft 10 was corrupt, so that's being sent back, and I will be getting a refund immediately. But either way, so I got a PC, and this is definitely a next step ahead of the efficiency with what I want to do with the podcast. Um, and my producer Pat Serrero, he's doing stuff with me on behind the scenes as well. Just stuff that we're gonna do in the future, whether it's streaming live via video chat conversation, or when we start doing this in person. So there's a lot going on, and then starting getting an intro made. My boy Clinton, he's gonna be on the podcast soon, probably in a couple of weeks. We're gonna he made an intro for me, so it's just things are moving along. Things are really starting to look up, and I'm really thankful for it. But it doesn't feel like it's been 3 weeks. Like it feels like I just did a podcast the other day, and I had the last three I did on a weekend for streaming was Matt from A Will Away, Mark from Fearless Records, and Dave from Covet. So it's definitely been pretty busy with me trying to get everything set up and the way I want to kind of have it portrayed for the near future podcast, which it'll definitely take some time. I don't know when I'm going to be doing in person yet, but I hope that will be initially soon. It's just I don't have a studio, but even if I don't have a studio, I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to certain locations where it'd be easier for the guests and myself, like kind of just meeting in the middle in itself. Let's just be able to do the process. But with and then with the upcoming guests, like I have a couple people booked right now. Nothing anything crazy, and I have a lot of guests that also aren't booked, but they're interested in coming on the show. And in general, I don't have a like I said, have a specific date when that's going to be happening. But nonetheless, like we're gonna try to make it the best way possible to conveniently have them on. It's just I don't know. It's just taking time, and everybody has their own things to do. So I'm just thankful that everything is um happening so quickly. I mean, 3 weeks is still a long time. Obviously, I haven't streamed on a weekend in that time period, so I definitely want to you know figure who the next guest, the next like lineup of guests. I think I have like 3 guests booked for not next week but the following week, not the 4th of July weekend. But I'm still working on getting somebody on that Sunday, the 5th. So we'll see what happens. And as for the podcast in general, I just want to say thank you to everybody who's been joining in and listening and watching. Recently, the YouTube channel just hit 50,000 views, and the channel hasn't even been up for 3 months. And that's a pretty sweet milestone. I'm glad there's a lot of people that are interested in taking the time to really watch and dissect, who I'm talking with and the guests that we're talking to. It means the world. So I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing. I thoroughly enjoy it. Obviously, I'm not making money off this. I never really intended to make money off of it. I mean, I work a full-time job, so that's also another reason why for the past 3 weeks I haven't streamed live in general. Yeah, yeah, thick, yeah, thick. I got a new computer, a big old computer. So it's a lot more efficient than the one that kind of crapped out on me in general. Like, what a waste of $1,200. But I'm gonna get a refund, like for sure. I just don't want to throw their name out there because I kind of want that refund real quick. But yeah, so we but we hit that milestone, which is pretty cool. I started, getting into the analytics with the streaming with the podcasts, Apple Music or Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever those numbers, and we're having an average of 7 viewers a day, or 4 to 7 viewers a day, which is so cool too. Like I don't know, it's just I just appreciate the people who are tuning in, and we're just gonna keep going. We're just gonna keep going. I'm gonna have a couple guests on, like I said, in 2 weeks or so. Both music industry related. One of them being Clinton, who's the guy who I hit up to do an intro. He did a song for me. We kind of collaborated. I basically just said, I kind of want this, and like, just work your magic, man. And he was like, do you want me to change it? I was like, absolutely not. This looks great. So we're gonna definitely have that intro starting in a couple weeks when it'll go on Twitch, and then you'll see it on YouTube, and you'll hear the song on the audio. So dude, he's so incredible. He's actually Red Guard for the Galactic Empire still. I don't know, what else other roles he has been doing, but he also kind of makes content for August Burns Red. He just did a bunch of drum video playthroughs for Mac Reiner, which was pretty cool. If you haven't, if you're a fan of metal, and August Burns Red is a metal band from Lancaster, PA. Lancaster, PA. Just go check that out. You can see the quality of his work. It's just incredible, dude. Like he's just so involved with it. I wish I had like the time to learn all the specs of the programs he's using. But I mean, and then other than that, so Pat, Clinton, Brandon, and myself, and Kyle, the guy who made the overlays too. He's the tour manager for We Were Sharks, and I had Randy on the podcast as well. So like, I have a great group of people behind me that if I ever need anything, we kind of like collaborate and go to the next step with what we had to like enhance the podcast in itself. But this is fucking cool, man. Like, I just don't know who down the line, who would be on that's not in the music industry, because although that is what I am thoroughly interested in, and I am constantly, in conversation with those professionals, it's easy to collaborate with conversation with them. So in general, I'm probably going to bring other artists on that aren't musicians or anything, like maybe some, I don't know, some video directors or content creators like Clinton himself, but he's also a musician, or artists in general, people who are in other industries such as like acting, or I'm trying to think. I had a couple ideas that I wanted to implement. Anybody who is like thoroughly creative in their industry, and just bring them on. Authors, like writers, um, directors, content creators. I had a couple content creators on. I already had John, and I had Mark from Fearless, but he's not a content creator. He's a what is he? The public. He's a oh, I want to get this wrong. I just had him on too. That's ridiculous. Um, he he uh he was the recent episode that I had with him as well. Oh, he's a product manager. That's right. So I'm just trying to hit all aspects of this industry as well, since I know so much, about it um, that I grew up and learning in the music business, the music industry. But there's also a lot that I don't know. So I'm also trying to like pick their brains and try to get answers that I'm also curious for, as well as other people who I'm sure like would like to take the time and really really take that information and use it to their advantage, which would that's the whole point of everything. Um, Other than that, like this is something that I want to keep enhancing over time. I'm so thankful for how the podcast looks in itself right now. Um, and viewing, and now the sounding is starting to really come through. Like this sounds like a fucking 100 times better than what it was. Like using a microphone off of a MacBook Air. Like, come on, dude. Like that's not the way to go at all whatsoever. Like, fuck that. Like this is, and I've had this microphone and I've had my interface for fucking years, and I wanted to implement it so hard like just I couldn't. I just couldn't. Like my Mac couldn't handle it. Like, and then it was freezing and clipping, and I would lose the podcast halfway through the live stream, and I'm like, fuck, I have to go mark that, edit it back. I'm not doing that anymore. We're not doing that anymore. But also in the meantime, like if you're listening to this or you're watching this on YouTube, like find a way to comment or go to go to the podcast Instagram or Facebook page, which is the Limelight Podcast, in general, and leave a comment. Let me know who you want to bring onto the podcast, because I'll definitely go out of my way. And if somebody really wants to have, I mean, I don't know, say somebody that just they really want to personally kind of either get the opportunity to interact and ask a question while they're on the stream, or they just want to hear what they have to say and become on the podcast and just come on the podcast in itself. So if you have anybody that you personally want to see in general, let me know. Put it in the comments section. Put it on Facebook, write it on the Facebook wall, put it on Instagram. Oh, I almost burped. Excuse me. But it's let me know, and then I'll definitely do my due diligence and research and try to go out of my way and see how can I contact them and everything. And so far things have been pretty smooth with contacting their managers or PR agents. So it's just all a matter of time. So if you have anybody in mind, let me know. I'll definitely take it into consideration and reach out the best as I can and try to have them on the show. So, but I'm so thankful for this. Like, this is something that I just wanted to do in general, because I enjoying like a nice refreshing conversation with anybody itself, but relating to the industry that I'm in as well as they are, like there's a correlation. And then like I don't know, it's just so fucking cool to do that. And basically when Kevin Lyman, he was my first guest on the podcast, he basically said, yeah, I'm down, let's set up a time and date. I started making the ball roll. I was like, I now gotta hit everybody up, because that's a great start, to initiating what I wanted to do with this. And then everybody started saying yes, and I, just had him on, and obviously there was a little hiccups like in the very beginning because of, like the technology I had. It was not really well equipped for this at all, but I still went through and did it. It's fucking crazy, man. Like, so I don't know. I really appreciate anybody that tuned in, liked, shared, direct messaged me. I had a couple DMs, like just appreciating like what we're doing on this podcast in itself, because it's not just me. Like, it's really not. Like, I have to give credit to other people who are also trying to help me, like, bring this whole idea to life. I mean, there's just still so much way to do it. I mean, like, if you look at behind me, if we're on YouTube, like, I mean, dude, I'm in my bedroom. Like, I don't have a studio. I don't have oh, I hope that wasn't clipping. I don't have a studio. I don't have a place to go to, or neither do these musicians, because the music industry is not going to probably resume until 2021, and that's really really fucking scary. Not only for the bigger guys that are out there who can tour full time and sell out crowds that are like 50,000 plus or whatever. But I'm talking about like the local scene and the mid tier scene. Because all those big bands are going to get out there first. And even with like, what was it? Garth Brooks just did a fucking like drive through. It was like $100 a car, to go to his concert. I mean, as he's able to do that. He's able to take that opportunity and do that. But like, there's a lot of bands or musicians in general that can't physically do that. Like, it's just not possible. I mean, there's a whole reason of why they can and cannot, and I'm sure some of them are gonna try, especially in a concert setting. But like, everybody's like postponing or canceling their tours. Like, this isn't gonna stop. I mean, they're talking about a second wave, and the second wave is definitely possible. I mean, it's not a fact yet. I mean, COVID is still running rampant throughout the entire country. I mean, and I'm sure some other parts of the world. But I mean, we're trying our best to just keep it at bay or completely get rid of it in general. And then they say there's a vaccine, and it's just, I don't know, everything's just up in the air. When they said, we would go back to green, we can go, back out to a normal life, it was week by week or bi-weekly. So it was like in the first week of May, it's like, oh, so like middle of May, we'll be able to go back out. Oh, now it's June. And I mean, we're like coming up to, July, and now we're all finally going green, but that doesn't do a lot for most of the industries. Hopefully the mom and pop shops have been trying to push out, as much business as they can. Thankfully, I'm still working in this. I'm very blessed to have that opportunity, and some people, don't have that, and a $1,200 check isn't really gonna, pay all of your bills or your debt. So it's just crazy, man. I don't know what else that we can do besides doing our part and staying and following by the guidelines. Just wear a mask and 6 feet distance, social distancing, wash your hands. Like, just try to do anything that's sanitary and healthy for the time being, and make sure that nobody's really spreading anything in general. It's just fucking. It's a shame. It's really a shame, and I just hope everybody is really trying their best to persevere and just push through this, because we're all in this together. This isn't. Some people like myself, like, I'm very fortunate for it, but like, I feel for others as much as myself, because I'm, like I said, I'm in a fortunate situation. So, I think about a lot of people, and I hope everybody's just doing pretty well. And I don't know what we're gonna do next. I know what we're gonna do next for the podcast. I don't want to be specific with it, but the one thing I did say earlier was something that I'm gonna probably implement was actually start doing these in-person podcasts. We already have the live feature where we can interact and people can ask questions, and we've had a couple people try to get involved with some of the guests and wanted to see what they had, like, take their questions and answer to them, which is cool. Like, I mean, that's the whole idea of it as well. It's like, you're basically a part of this, like, and I take a lot of it's hard for me to like read the chat sometimes, so I'm still trying to figure out like the third party system with being on Twitch, as well as where how I'm able to stream this and like read the comments all at the same time. I'm actually doing it through my phone right now. Like, if there's any comments, I just usually read it through my phone, which is fucked up, because in the beginning my phone actually made those like weird robot fucking sounds when we would talk. So I don't know. It was just an old platform that I was using to stream, and it just wasn't efficient. It wasn't efficient. It wasn't a good way to doing it, but I still did it anyways. I just had to save a little bit of money to start getting this whole idea together with a good streaming fucking PC. Like, it was so necessary, and now I can actually like have a good audio base within itself. I mean, I think Bruce was the only guest on my on the podcast that used a microphone with his interface, and it sounded really good. And then we use Zoom, and Zoom is just not. It's hard to like talk over each other with Zoom. It kind of like cuts you out in sound and shit. But we're gonna keep doing that with Skype, and I feel like it would be more natural if we were in person. So that's why I kind of want to, I want to implement more of the in-person interviews as well, or not interviews, but the podcast. And I don't have a studio, so I mean, eventually that's gonna be an idea, down the road. But I was thinking maybe going out to a middle ground area where we can meet up and set up and just do the podcast in itself, whether it's I don't know, like whether it's at a venue or some other place of interest that we all kind of can relate to. Like, I don't know, like, what if we did a podcast at a brewery with a band that plays there? Like, that'd be fucking cool. I can't do live sets or anything like that. I don't have that kind of equipment because that's a whole nother ballgame. But yeah, I mean, there's so many ideas that are out there. I just don't know personally what I want to do with that afterwards. The only thing I have in mind right now is just doing it in person, which would be pretty fucking cool. I just don't know how long that's gonna take, and that also would have to play a fact of the music industry, especially if like these are musicians. No, excuse me. If these are musicians that are going to be on the podcast, like they obviously have to be on tour, because they live all over the place. I'm not going to drive myself out to like Bumblefuck, Alabama, just to have a podcast doing. Just do it to do a podcast. I'm just gonna wait for them to come through the area, and then hopefully we can set something up in the meantime. That's like the whole thing I have going forward with that. And I've talked to a lot of the guests afterwards because it is one-on-one. I'm not doing multiple guests yet. And I said when you do come through, when the industry resumes in itself, like maybe we can have the whole band on and just now that we've kind of like introduced ourselves, we can go into more depth with like maybe personal things like of interest or whatever. Like, are you a whiskey guy, a bourbon guy? Do you drink IPAs? I don't know. Like, it's just anything that like we can just touch base on that would be fucking cool, and just I don't know, just have a good time with it. Like fucking just literally just hang out, man. And these podcasts, like, it's not exhausting to make these either. I think the most exhausting thing out of this was editing, because I had two laptops doing it. I had one laptop where it was all my programs for editing, like Photoshop, Illustrator, Final Cut Pro, Premiere, After Effects. So I had that computer, and then I had the computer that I was streaming off of. In general, was the MacBook Air. So it was a fucking process, and everything was so fucking slow. I was like losing my mind. And sometimes, if you do look at some of the if you look at some of the updates for some of the channels, or for some of the episodes, they're a little delayed. Like it's either like a day later or it's a couple hours later, because there's just nothing I can do. It was just so slow and so inefficient. I just had to just bite the bullet and just say, you know what, now let me start saving and invest my time into actually getting a good streaming PC. And with that being said, what the fuck was I gonna say? Yeah, with that being said, so this is all being taken care of with the audio and such. I really forget what I was gonna say. It was actually really important. But I wanted to make it more of a way to also get it more interacting. I want you guys and girls and anybody that is tuning in live to have an opportunity to be more interactive with it, and that's another initial thing too with the in person. I'm gonna try to see what we can do if we do it in person. Maybe we can have like a small audience and come hang and chill with us, and then everybody gets a couple questions or one question or something. Kind of like when you go to I don't know, when you kind of go to a conference and they have the you just have like a lineup of people, and they spew their knowledge or whatever and what they want to talk about, and then you have an opportunity to ask questions. And I don't know, I think that's just something that we were going to try to implement as well. But that also comes with more equipment, that comes with more people that are going to have to be involved. I mean, I can't just do this all by myself. Like, I wish I could. I'm not a DIY guy. I actually said that recently. My boy Brandon and I, he hosts a YouTube channel called Audio Addiction, and he does basically the same thing that I'm doing, but he's been doing it for like a lot longer than I have. So he's way more efficient in ways that I cannot even comprehend. So I said it, this DIY stuff, like I don't have a problem hitting people up and like just letting them kind of help me out, because I can get to a certain point where it's like, this is good, I like it, but they could be better, and I just don't have the time to kind of sit back and do anything like that. Also, I need a fucking second monitor because I can do some research. Like, I don't have a guy that can just research shit and Google shit, so I'm gonna have to like really figure that out. I'm trying to think what else. But it's been a blessing. This is so fucking cool. I don't think like this isn't gonna stop anytime soon. I want to have more people on that want to get really in depth into their art or into their profession in general, and like try to explain everything to a T, to where somebody, when they're like when somebody's interacting or asking questions or listening in general, like they take something from it. And it seems like it's been that's been the case too, which was like the initial idea I wanted to go with this. So it's pretty fucking cool. Um, I just don't know. I just don't know who I want to kind of reach out to next. That's like in professional like wise. Like I mean, I reached out to a couple sports guys. I reached out to some content creators, some managers. I would like to get some touring managers on. That would be pretty interesting. Because the fact that those are the jobs that you don't hear a lot about, and there's a lot that goes behind it too. Like there's so much. You have to make these spreadsheets and make sure everything's in line and what your guarantee is and what time is this and who what how long is the set, doors are at this time, you have this change of set, like I don't know, like there's just a lot that goes into it too that could be beneficial to a viewer or listener that is about to either think of pursuing that, if it was being a touring manager or going on tour and they need a touring manager, and they would know what to expect from that person who's on tour with them. So there's a lot of people I've been trying to reach out to, and it's I actually haven't booked. I personally didn't want to book anybody because I wanted to get this situated first, like the whole streaming thing. And this sounds great. This looks great. Like I said, like Brandon like really helped me out with getting like the little kinks and stuff. I have a producer who's like got my back all the time. He's on demand text. I actually I made a joke because I couldn't get the microphone to work earlier, and I said I didn't know what the fuck it was, so I actually had to download a plugin for my interface, and we tried everything else, and he's like, I told him that was what it was, that was what the problem was, and he's like, oh shit, I'm like, that makes sense. I was like, yeah, you're fired, like, what the fuck. But I'm just fucking with him, like, he's really cool. He takes care of me. I just love that guy. So I think what we're gonna have to do next is just to figure out how I can get a studio to have a comfortable scenery aesthetic for guests to come by and just chill and like do their thing. And but music isn't gonna be touring. Like nobody's gonna be touring soon. That's the fucking problem. Like it's just everything's on pause, and I fear for that whole industry, because that's definitely gonna be the last industry. And I mostly fear for the venues, like the smaller venues and the mid tier venues, because I don't know how the fuck they're gonna be able to afford. I mean, they could bring stand up comedians through and like maybe watch a couple movies in their venue, but holy shit, like that's just losing so much income every fucking day, every weekend. Alcohol sales, ticket sales, getting cuts from certain things for promotion and stuff. Like it's crazy. Like it's just not. It doesn't seem real. It just. I mean, it is now, but the fact is, it's just we're gonna have to just suck it up and wait for this to be done and over with, so we can actually enjoy fucking concerts again. And go to a concert, hang out with our friends, hug our friends. I mean, like my producer was supposed to go to Electric Forest this weekend. Yeah, this past like literally today's Sunday, so Saturday I guess, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They were supposed to go to Electric Forest and they fucking can't because this, which is I don't know. I always wanted to go to that show, and I'm into that kind of music, like not in depth wise, but like it's a cool fucking atmosphere to be in. Like it'd be a cool experience to be there. It's kind of like Burning Man or Coachella. Like it's just the experience that you kind of like gravitate to. So I definitely would like to go with them, but I'm also doing this and working a full time job, and you can't always get what you want. You know what I mean? It's not that's life, man. That's life. But yeah, so we're doing pretty well. I mean, I'm definitely getting a new camera. This looks like shit if you're watching this on YouTube. So, yeah, currently we're at 61 subscribers. I'm pretty stoked on that. And it's only been 3 months. I've been trying to. Oh, that's what I wanted to talk about. So basically, the schedule was always Mondays and Fridays at 3 p.m. And then for a couple weeks, like why I wasn't streaming on the weekends, I really couldn't do that at all, because I was basically running out of. I didn't have I was trying to get this whole new streaming equipment up and running, and it just wasn't going to happen. So what I did was like this episode will go up tomorrow, Monday. What is it? The 29th. So that'll go up tomorrow. And basically, for everybody knowing, this is just an update, and I'm trying to explain everything with what we're trying to do. But it's definitely only Mondays right now at 3 p.m. Eastern time. Like it used to be Mondays and Fridays. Once I start booking people again, like on a regular basis, like usually I would have like 3 to 4 people on a weekend, 4 at max for streaming. And then I would basically I would basically just you know do it within that week, and then the following week would be the other two that I wouldn't be able to put on, and then that weekend I'd put 2 people on. But for right now, in general, it's going to be Mondays, 3 p.m. Eastern time. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be able to actually do it on the dot this time because I have a working setup, so I don't have to have any delays when I upload to YouTube. Because sometimes I would upload, and then the computer would like my computer would kind of like crap out, and I have to start the download or the upload all over again. It was a fucking pain in the ass. Like it's just such a waste of time. It's like fuck. Like I want to get this out there now. Like why is it got to be such a problem? So that's why I invested in a PC. So it's looking fucking pretty good. But let me know, how everything sounds, audio. Make a comment in the YouTube, or reach us on social media in general, and kind of like give us a give me an idea, how everything sounds, and if you have any, if you have any like tips or concerns. I don't know, like tips or concerns, but like if you have any criticism, like let me know. I'll try to do my best to fulfill it and try to what's it called, implement it as much as I can. So like I said, Mondays they are going to be they will be the uploads at 3 p.m. Eastern time. So if it was in California, it'd be 12 p.m. So we're just trying to like keep moving on and just keep going. But this whole setup is just way better than what I had in general. But I really appreciate people coming to tune in live. I appreciate the guests coming on and being patient sometimes when there are hiccups, or and them sharing the time dates and of when we were going live, and then shortly after the episodes upload they share that too. I really appreciate it. I mean, it's such a cool experience, and everybody seems like they're having a good time in general. I mean, I would say like 70 to 80% of the guests that I've had on already are like really close friends of mine or colleagues, and which is fucking cool. But then you have that other 20% that they're complete strangers to me, and I have to make sure that I don't I try to like understand who they are as a person in general, which is not an easy thing to do. So I'm gonna try to do my best to keep those guests like comfortable and like willing to do this, or just wanting to do it in general. Because some people get exhausted when they're doing a bunch of content. I mean, their PR people just throw them out and make them do so much content in itself, and it just becomes exhausting. I mean, it is what it is. Like that's the whole lifestyle of being in an industry like that, when you have to put out content and interviews and playthroughs or whatever. It's just a lot to put on your body and your mind to get everything accomplished within a certain period of time and the timeline that's set up for you. But yeah, so like but as the shout out was Audio Addiction, my boy Brandon, he I was on his YouTube we did a an interview slash podcast thing yesterday, which was really fucking fun. So if you want to check him out, he's at Audio Addiction, Audio Addiction on YouTube, and Audio Addiction on Instagram. That's all of his tags, and Facebook. Yeah, we talked about like this podcast and Poeta with what we're doing, because we're going to the studio sometime soon. I want to say August. Why am I so gassy? Oh jeez, fucking disgusting. We're gonna go back into the studio in August. We're gonna do 3 more tracks. We have another track to release soon. We don't have a date yet, but we're just holding on to it and trying to implement that and market that the best way that we can. So that's gonna be happening too. There's a lot of stuff going on, productive wise, behind the scenes, and I kind of wanted to just give everybody like a heads up with what we're doing, and how we're gonna go about it, and the guests that are coming up, and what you're gonna expect. Because I kind of want to make this a full time thing in general, which would be nice. I mean, this is a part time, enjoyable, I guess I'd say hobby. This is fucking cool. Like I kind of wanted to do this for a long time, and I never really got the jump start or like the green light to do it because I was already so busy focusing on other things like Poeta or like a full time job and just trying to be efficient at my job that pays my bills. But when I started it, it just kept going, and this is something that just like I'm just gonna keep doing this forever. Like this this is like so fucking cool, especially the people that come onto the show. Um, and I have conversations with. Like it's such a good time, dude. It's such a good time. But yeah, if you have any suggestions of who you want on the show, like obviously I'm not gonna get people like Adam Levine or get people like I don't know like M Night Shyamalan or something. I mean I'll give it a shot, I guess, but like those I don't have a manager. Um I don't have those connections. I don't even know if I'll be able to find their emails to even message their managers and try to convince them to come on. But if you are interested in certain musicians or artists or content creators or creatives in general, and you want to put them, on the podcast, or you want to see them on the podcast, like, let me know, and I'll definitely do my best to reach out and see if they'd be interested in coming on. Because a lot of times I've guessed that like it's usually scheduling problems. Like they're just not ready to do it right now. Like they're interested, which is why I haven't really said some of the guests that I've talked about. Like I have two guests coming on in a couple weeks, and one of them being Clinton, who did the intro, which you guys will be seeing soon. Um, and he wrote a song for it too. I was like, dude, you gotta, because we were gonna use what we're gonna call it. We were gonna use like a stock song from the internet that was free to use, and there's no royalties, or there's no license behind it. It's just free music. And I was like, no, dude, I kind of want you to create something like that's on, that's pretty fucking badass, because that's going to be the actual song going forward. Like, once that song's made, like, that's it. So, he did a really fucking good job, dude. Like, I'm super fucking stoked for it. Like, not surprised it came out so well. I just knew it was going to be like that. So, yeah, so we're gonna, and then, but most of the guests that I want on the show, they haven't confirmed they're interested, but they haven't confirmed because they're already doing so much PR right now. They're already doing so much content, in other places, whether it's other podcasts or like playthroughs. So I want to see. I'm gonna like go back and kind of touch up, and get it like try to bring them to a conversation of like maybe possibly coming back and booking on something. So just like follow up with them, because they would be pretty cool people to have on the podcast. And like most of the guests that I have on the podcast, like I thoroughly want to have a conversation with them because I enjoy what they do as people, or their art and stuff, or what they do for a career. But I also want to start reaching out to people who like the listener or you, the viewer, are actually interested in talking to, because I don't know what you got. I don't know what you guys think. I don't know what your interests are. Like, there's so much fucking talent out there. Like, you just can't put it all on one fucking show, or you can't put it all in one fucking iTunes library. There's just so much out there. I'm really stoked. This is just my opinion. I think A Will Away is gonna be a pretty big fucking band. They grind, man. They're built. I'm just saying this out of nowhere, like just because I just a thought that I kind of wanted to get out of my head. But they're somebody like these dudes really fucking grind. Like they do the old school way of touring all the time. When you grind that out and you just play venues all the time, and you do it, months on months, and they start getting traction. And now they have a whole team behind them when they were DIY previously, and now they have like a publicist and a manager and a label, and that's what if you want to get kickstarted and people want to see potential, they'll take their time and like try to collaborate with you. So I'm really fucking stoked for them. But I think they're gonna be a really big fucking band. I have a really good feeling about it. They just released their EP Soup, which is pretty good, and they're building a studio right now for themselves. It's just that's the shit you gotta do, man. It's the shit that's the sacrifice you have to make if you want to understand a little bit more. He was on the last podcast. I think he was episode 20. So check that out. Really good fucking dude. It was the vocalist from A Will Away. But yeah, so I uh I have good I see some good things happening to them in the near future. I don't know if it'll be a year from now or 5 years, but they're definitely like on the right track. Like I appreciate guys that grind like that. It's just they don't they're not bullshitters. They just want to actually make a career out of it. So I'm really stoked for them. Um, but yeah, so I mean, I'm super stoked to have all the guests on here. I'm super stoked that people have been tuning in, and whether it's live or they're watching it or hearing it, I just appreciate you guys and girls and anybody that's just watching. It's just so fucking cool. Like I never expected it to like get to this point, and 50,000 views for sure is cool in like a little under 3 months. Like it's cool. Like I appreciate it wholeheartedly. Um, but I mean that's just because I'm just not taking it as I'm taking it seriously. But it's like I don't know. It's just like I'm enjoying doing this. I'm trying to put this out there, and people are gravitating towards it, and they're interested in it, and that's cool. That's the whole point. It doesn't matter how many people watch. Like if it's one person or like 1,000 people watching a video or listening to a podcast, like it doesn't matter. As long as somebody's thoroughly enjoying it as well as I am while I do this, like that's all that matters. I don't know. I just want to have more guests that other people are interested in hearing what they have to say and what they want to talk about, which is why I kind of like want some I want you guys to tell me who I should bring on and who you want to like so you can have ask questions and interact and all that stuff. Um, but that's basically it. I mean, this is a huge step up from what I had prior, and now I'm gonna start going back and booking everybody that I really want to try to put on the show. Um, and then like I'll start probably reaching out of the music industry in general and start bringing people on with the other creatives that are doing this for a living and kind of picking their brain and seeing how they started out or what they suggest to someone who's aspiring to be in their industry. It's just a whole process, honestly. Like I just fucking love having the conversation like from the beginning to the end. Like if I don't know them, I'll be like, all right, so I want to hear your background story and then kind of like move on to like what they're doing presently. But some of these guests like I already know who they are, so we just talk about what we want to talk about, and those can be usually the best conversations. Um, or they could be stale. I don't know. I think we've been having pretty good conversations so far, so I don't know. Also, real quick before I sign off on this episode, um, it was cool that Kevin Lyman came on as my first podcast guy, guest in itself, and that was such a huge honor to have him on, and he was he took the time out of his day to do that. I really appreciate you, dude. Like if you're watching this and listening to this right now, like that was like one of the most like fucking like awesome moments I had. Just him, because I was on his tour with Poeta for 11 days. It was cool. It was literally the greatest experience I've ever had. Obviously, I have a lot more to go with it, being the band stuff, but he did say that he is working on a festival, and I just want to make this real quick. I just had a thought in my head, and I kind of want to like bring it to attention because I want to see what you think about it. But he said he's working on another festival, and it's kind of like Warped Tour. So is it going to be kind of like what he did with the 25th anniversary, where it's a couple festivals and it's not a touring festival, or is he gonna? He's not gonna do Over the Road. Like, there's no way that financially would be a good idea to do that. But I do kind of have like an idea of like what he might do. He's working with somebody. Like he's working with a certain group of people, but he just needs the paperwork to go through. And I personally think, and this is, I'm not starting rumors. I'm not saying like, oh, I talked to this person and like there I heard certain things, blah blah blah. No, this is just me taking an educated guess with what he's doing. Because I just think it'd be extremely logical for him to do it, and it would really help the fucking industry in itself with like what he's done over the years. But I really think he's gonna be teaming up with Emo Night. Emo Night is a huge fucking company that is creating these environmental these aesthetic environmental like parties in a sense where they have DJs and like some bands and some special guests that come out who were in that scene from like the the early 2000s or late 90s all the way up to now present with that emo pop punk alternative rock phase, grunge, anything like just to bring out that aesthetic. So I think that it would be a really cool fucking concept, but I hope this happens. It's basically like Electric Forest, that my producer was supposed to go to over the weekend, like, or Coachella or Burning Man. Like you go there for the experience. You go there literally to say like you were there. Like the music's there and it's great and like you have a good time. But like most of the people at Electric Forest, dude, they probably just get really high or like they just trip. Like that's basically they're there for the experience. They're not. I mean, they're there for the music, but that's just like another. Like that's literally just another like plus to everything. So I have a I just have a feeling he's gonna work with Emo Night, and Warped Tour and Emo Night is gonna create this baby, and we're gonna have like festivals, kind of like what he did with the 25th anniversary, where it's in certain locations like California or New Jersey or Ohio or Florida, like however they work about it, and they kind of like just mold that idea and bring the aesthetic, like bring that pop punk emo phase back, and like you go there for the experience. Like you're literally there. I mean, for the music for sure. Like you're gonna have all those different types of bands, and you're gonna have different like stages and stuff. But I really feel like it would be aesthetically pleasing to actually like involve that. I think that's what he might be working with. I don't know. I mean, obviously I could be wrong. I just don't know. I didn't hear anything from anybody. It was just kind of something that I took a step back from and like thought about it. Like, if he worked with Emo Night, that would be such a huge fucking like that would be such a huge fucking win for everybody. For anybody who's a fan of that type of music, for anybody who's in the music scene, because it's just you kind of keep it alive, and then you can go through over the years and like that's just music. That music's never gonna die. I mean, people talk about like that type of music in the early 2000s is like that's a classic. It's like it's fucking true though. I mean, like it's like say the song came out in 2000 and it's like it's been 20 years, like yeah, it's a classic song. Like you don't hear it on the radio, but back in 2000 that was on the radio all the time, but now it's not a thing anymore. So I don't know. I have a strong feeling that he might be working with Emo Night. There's no confirmation. What I'm saying is like I didn't hear anything from anybody. I didn't hear any rumors. I'm not starting any rumors, but I really think that would be something that would be fucking cool for him to team up with the guys and girls from Emo Night, that whole organization. I think that would be fucking sweet. I can only imagine like the actual festival and how it would look and how it would be set up and everything. Like everybody would be wearing mascara and like a whole bunch of black clothing. Like I would definitely like I don't know. I had to pull out my tight jeans again. I don't know if they fit in them. I'm gonna have to get those like those stretchable jeans. I forget what they're called, but like around the waist, like they kind of expand a little bit. Everybody's down a couple pounds over quarantine, so like let's be real. Like I'm not gonna bullshit you. Like I ain't eating a perfect diet, but I'm not gonna be able to fit in those fucking jeans. So I had to. So if they do that, I'm definitely gonna have to like fucking get some cardio in and like put my jeans back on and be like, all right, let's fucking rock and roll. That would be really fucking cool. I think that would be something that he would be able to do, and they would be able to tackle that, and just it would be it's a perfect win-win for everybody. You keep that scene alive, you keep that genre alive, you keep those days are never gonna go away. They're like they're written in stone in history with that kind of genre and that kind of that scene. That'd be fucking sweet, and especially with all the guests that come out. Like when they do these Emo Nights, you'll have like Aaron Gillespie from Under Oath and Spencer, or Brendan Urie from Panic at the Disco. Like these people like come out and like do us like a couple songs, and they're just special guests, and it's fucking cool. And like the DJ's playing old stuff, and everybody's saying like I think the final song for everything is Famous Last Words Famous Last Words by My Chemical Romance. I think that's like usually the last song that they play when they end those nights too. I haven't been to one. I always wanted to go one, but I'm not a club guy, but that's something I definitely go to because everybody's there for the same reason, for really fucking good music that we grew up to. And it was a huge part of our lives. So I don't know. We'll see. Maybe that's something he's doing. I don't know. If it's not, obviously he's working with somebody. But if COVID keeps running rampant like it is, we won't see in 2021 like he was saying that he was trying to, have that goal for spring. But if we behave ourselves and we try to, tackle this fucking pandemic like mature fucking adults, maybe we can actually enjoy concerts again, and he'd be able to bring that project with whoever he's working with. and bring that to actual reality. Maybe it is he's working with Limelight. Maybe he's not. Maybe he's working with some people that we have no idea who they are, but they have an idea with what they're gonna do. That's an inspirational fucking dude right there. He does not stop working. He just puts his fucking pedal to the floor and just goes. He just pushes it down there and just fucking floors it. He's just so proactive in anything that he ever does, and he just gives a shit about, you know, the music industry and like what he built for everybody. And he's so humble. He doesn't even realize he doesn't even like think that he did it. Like it's just insane, dude. Like what an incredible guy. So I don't know. We'll see. But a lot of updates, a lot of good stuff's coming. Guests are getting booked. This microphone sounds a lot better than a fucking microphone from a laptop. But nonetheless, like this is you know, this is a huge upgrade, and I'm pretty stoked on it. But I wouldn't be doing this if it was for the, you know, if it wasn't for everybody that was tuning in and everything. You know, I'm doing this because I thoroughly enjoy it, but I also want everybody else who's watching and listening to actually enjoy it as well. I mean that, you know, we're all in here together. I'm trying to, you know, just do my thing and just hang out and have a good time with it. So if you haven't already, please go subscribe on YouTube. We're trying to hit to, you know, 100 subscribers, hopefully by the end of the summer. We're currently at 61. You can follow us on Instagram at the Limelight Podcast, or the Facebook page, the Limelight Podcast. A lot of those URLs at the end are trying to get changed a little bit, but you know, it's still there. And then you can follow my personals at GeoPal with 3 L's at the end, POWELL. But yeah, dude, this is pretty fucking cool. So, like I said, I appreciate everybody joining in. I appreciate everybody supporting, giving criticism, letting me know, you know, how they feel, and interacting with the guests and stuff when we have them on. But if you have any ideas of who you want to bring on the podcast, just, you know, write in comments, just, you know, tag me, do something, tag them, like bombard them, like put them, like call on this podcast, like we'll talk, just to talk about whatever. Like for sure, I'll definitely reach out and try to get their attention, whoever they are. So this is a good next step for what I'm trying to do. So thank you. I appreciate you guys tuning in general, whether it's live or you're listening or watching it right now. Tomorrow at Monday at 3 p.m., which would be today, if you didn't catch the live stream. But yeah, we're gonna do some pretty cool things in the future. Just gotta, you know, keep moving on, keep investing in everything. So thank you. I appreciate it, my dudes. And you'll probably see some announcements with some guests coming up either this week or the following week. So we're gonna tackle that soon. So all right, I'll see you guys later.